What's going on, everybody? Doc and Sloth back yet again, bringing some more Halo Wars 2 action. This time, we are doing an update to our Shipmaster build. Again, if you checked out our Anders build, these are all probably going up pretty close to the same time. We did in-depth deck builds when the Blitz beta was out. Now that we've had some time to get into the game, we're making some refinements, some updates, and we did quite a bit of work with a spreadsheet that we put out. We linked that into two other videos where we talked specific UNSC as well as Banished. We were able to pull some data, do some play testing with specific units against other units, and Sloth's going to reference some numbers here for those to kind of help you guys understand some of our specific unit selections and what we're changing in these updated deck builds. If you haven't checked those videos out, please do. They're linked underneath our Halo Wars 2 playlist on the channel, so please do check those out. And there we're going into some pretty in-depth discussions about specific units and why they're better than other specific units and kind of how they compare. And then if you're looking for a real in-depth look at the guide for this deck, you can check out our original one. In this one, we're just going to be pretty quick and just talk the specific unit changes that we've made. So a couple shameless plugs there for a few other videos, but we got a lot of other in-depth information out there that we don't want you guys to gloss over. Those of you that have watched those other ones, this is just going to be a nice update, quick refresher. So we're going to jump into this real quick. I'm going to get to the Shipmaster deck build that we have set up. Sloth's going to talk us through, but before he does, I'm just going to highlight a few of the things that we ended up taking out. So we dropped from the original build, we dropped the Assault Elites. We've kind of replaced the Banshee with the Unstable Banshee, and we've kind of replaced the Wraith with the Ironclad Wraith. But this deck, I think, synergizes a little bit better. Sloth's going to talk to you about how awesome the Shipmaster is as the assassin and kind of why we're setting it up that way. So I'll let him take it off from here.
Yeah, I talked before in the beta how this was my favorite leader. It still stands true. I've actually struggled to pull a lot of really good cards for the Banished, but I still feel like I have a massive amount of success with this deck. I feel like the energy curve has gone up just a little bit. We're focusing kind of on a little bit higher energy stuff, but Shipmaster's kind of a high-low proposition. Got a lot of low end, a lot of top end, not a whole lot of mid range. So I feel like that kind of balances itself out. Shipmaster is still very much the assassin. You see it with the starting army there, but it's very literal with him. He's very sneaky, and he's kind of a more about pressure points now than I was using him, at least in the beta. We're going to use blast and some cloaking and some glassing beam. Those three things we're going to really strike at the heart of the other armies as quickly as possible, and with just taking as little amount of damage as possible before we really get the big battle going. So we want to weaken them before they can hit us, and then we want to hit them hard. So starting with the engineer, pretty standard. The Grunt Mob. The Grunt Mob is actually something that I kind of thought would be dumb. You look at it on paper, neutral against two things, weak against vehicles. But it's the same amount of energy as the Assault Elites that we had before. Also has the rush ability, and it's 15 seconds faster on time to kill against the standard Cyclops. So that to me is incredibly incredibly substantial. That's a word. It's incredibly substantial. That's a huge amount of time. It's mostly gonna be just straight quantity over the quality, just because there's so many grunts in there. There's a lot of grunts inside each unit, and that grunt mob drops 3 separate of those, but really effective. And you're actually, I think, just going to see a lot of gang up mentality with that, which is what they're there for. But it's really good, and they're actually good for cutting off areas of retreat for enemies. Doc and I were actually just talking about the strategy. I have a big army come in. I want to use my glassing beam or my cloaking field or just use a cloaked unit to kind of hold fast and start attacking them, and kind of like I was talking about, hit the heart of their army, take out that vulture before we start working on the rest of the group. And if that starts going well, I'm gonna go ahead and drop a grunt mob behind them. They're not gonna be able to get out quickly. We're gonna still be able to hit them with a lot of damage. So that, I think, is a really important change there for the grunt mob in place of the assault elites. Bloodfuel Locust, still broken, still too good, but we're gonna go ahead and use them to our advantage at least. They're still just fantastic. Not as broken as before, but still very, very good. One big major change that we've really embraced since the beta is the blast ability. The suicide grunts are nasty. 80 energy, they take down entire armies when you use them correctly. It's amazing to be able to spend 80 energy and knock down an army that your opponent just spent 500 energy on. It's incredibly effective, incredibly cost effective. So use those blast abilities to your advantage there. Prowling Reaver is always the linchpin in a lot of the banished decks, so always use those. Two leader abilities, really mid-range, kind of mid-high kind of thing. So 100 and 110, I think they're the most cost-effective abilities, probably pound for pound in the game. For 100, you cloaking a whole army is just awesome, and glassing beam is super powerful, lasts a long time, and you can move it, which is just bananas. It's so good. Always have your artillery in there. Prowling Marauder, the numbers really support having that over a standard Marauder, and I mean it blows a Marauder War Chief out of the water, comparing it to one of Decimus's special units. So Prowling Marauder ends up being a lot more important in this deck than I kind of thought before, not just for the cloak ability, but for its utility. I kind of talked a lot of crap about the unstable Banshee from the beta. Double the energy cost from the standard Banshee. I'm here to eat my words, man. In this unit comparison that we've done, we've put some hard numbers to things. The Banshee is a good 7 seconds slower to kill on a standard Cyclops. That's pretty substantial. And the unstable Banshee has that blast ability. It's going to be faster to kill, and it has more health. So I really think that the unstable Banshee is worth it. That's just something that it's proved itself to me for its cost. Just that damage output, having that extra utility, that extra health, it's worth it. Especially when, just like with the suicide grunts, you can spend that little bit more, 130 to take down an entire army. Totally worth it. Ironclad Wraith, 100% worth over a standard Wraith. The standard Wraith is at 23. The Ironclad Wraith on time to kill is just below 17. It's almost a 33% decrease in time to kill, and the Ironclad has more health and the guard ability, and it still has that shield. Why would you not? Totally worth it. Definitely pound for pound, I think better than the UNSC counterparts with the Scorpions and stuff. Honor Guard is going to have the slowest time to kill of any banished hero, but he's so fast. He has that cloak ability. He just runs all over the field. He is definitely worth it. Every hero is worth it. If you have any heroes, don't skip out on them. They're always worth it 100% of the time.
Yeah, for sure. So the only real thing I'll highlight here, and all great points from Sloth, we've actually had a lot of really good success 2v2s. Him running this, me running, Forge or Isabel, and really honestly decimating opponents. So this is one build I'm glad we were able to talk about and update. The biggest thing that I take away from this build for you, Sloth, is just the fact that the blast ability almost essentially becomes kind of like another leader power, especially if they're not paying attention. They did slow it down from the beta, so the blast takes just a little bit longer. But if they're kind of in the thick of the fight, they're not really paying attention. There's a lot of explosions and stuff going on anyways. You drop one of those two, the Suicide Grunts or the Unstable Banshee in, and you get a blast off, that army is gone. And I mean, it's almost more demoralizing having that happen to you, or seeing an enemy have that happen to them, than it is like actual, you talk cost effectiveness, which it's great for. But you build up this great army, and then you send in some 80 energy suicide grunts, and then the next thing you know, everything's eviscerated, and you might have been looking at a different point and not even know what happened to your units. So yeah. I just kind of look at it like that. Again, the combination of those two units with glassing beam, and then the fact that more than half of this stuff, well, not more than half, but close to half of this stuff has cloak, and then with the ability to give everything cloak, it's just ridiculous. The Honor Guard, I actually played against it today, and somebody literally just locked down a point with the Honor Guard and killed like 2 or 3 of my things without me even really paying attention because it was cloaked and I didn't see it. That's how good he can be. Now honestly, the thing that sucks, he can't hit air units, but I think he more than makes up for that with that cloak and the high amount of health he has. So honestly, a great build. Glad we were able to talk about this. Again, if you didn't check out the original build where we talk about some of the other more specific units, why we're picking up Prowling Reaver, which should be relatively self-explanatory at this point, go check out the original build. Again, check out the Banished guide that we have where we compare a lot of the different units. I think that'll help give you, again, a little bit better understanding for what we're looking at as far as comparisons. And you can check out that spreadsheet as well, download a copy for yourself. So I've been Doc. That's been Slothware Average Gamer, guys. Thank you so much for checking this one out. Make sure to subscribe, follow us on Twitter. We got a lot of other stuff coming, a lot of other games we're going to be uploading here in the future now that we're a good way through a lot of the stuff that we were hoping to do for Halo Wars 2. Now we can really start focusing on the multiplayer aspects, but also diversify a little bit and get some other stuff up on the channel. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thanks for checking it out. We'll check you next time.